If you've ever met a female empath who genuinely enjoys staying at home, you may have wondered why. In a world that constantly celebrates being outgoing, social, and always connected, these women often choose something completely different. And here's what most people get wrong. They assume she's shy, antisocial, or afraid of the world, but that's rarely the truth. A female empath feels safe in her own space because home offers something the outside world often cannot: emotional security. Most people think of safety in physical terms, but for an empath, emotional safety is just as important. Every day, she moves through environments filled with different personalities, moods, expectations, and emotional pressures. Whether she is at work, visiting family, running errands, or simply interacting with strangers, she naturally absorbs more emotional information than the average person. This constant exposure can become mentally exhausting, even when nothing particularly stressful happens. As a result, her home becomes the place where she can finally let down her guard and return to herself. One of the defining characteristics of a female empath is her heightened awareness of emotional energy. She notices subtle shifts in people's expressions, changes in tone of voice, hidden frustrations, and unspoken sadness. While others may overlook these signals, she instinctively senses them. This ability allows her to understand people on a deeper level, but it also comes with a cost. The human mind was not designed to carry the emotional weight of everyone it encounters. Over time, constantly processing the feelings of others can create emotional fatigue. Home provides a refuge from that burden. Within her own space, she is no longer responsible for monitoring the emotional atmosphere around her. Many female empaths also find comfort in the predictability of home. The outside world is filled with uncertainty. Every social interaction contains unknown variables. Every public environment introduces new energies and emotional demands. Home, however, is familiar. She controls the environment, the noise level, the atmosphere, and the pace of her day. This sense of control helps calm her nervous system. It allows her mind to stop scanning for emotional threats and focus instead on rest and recovery. Another reason home feels safe is because it is one of the few places where a female empath can be completely authentic. In many social situations, people feel pressure to perform, impress, or adapt to expectations. Empaths are especially aware of these social dynamics. They often adjust their behavior to keep harmony, avoid conflict, or make others comfortable. While this ability helps them connect with people, it can also become draining. At home, those expectations disappear. She does not have to manage anyone else's feelings or present a particular image. She can simply exist as herself without explanation. For many female empaths, home is also closely connected to emotional healing. They often spend a great deal of time reflecting on experiences and processing feelings. Unlike people who quickly move past emotional events, empaths tend to analyze and understand them deeply. A conversation, disagreement, or meaningful interaction may stay in her thoughts long after it ends. She revisits experiences not because she wants to dwell on them, but because her mind naturally seeks understanding. The quiet environment of home gives her the space necessary for that process. Creativity also plays an important role in why female empaths feel safe at home. Many empaths are naturally drawn to writing, reading, art, music, gardening, cooking, or other forms of creative expression. These activities help them transform emotions into something meaningful. Home becomes the perfect setting for this because it provides freedom from distraction and judgment. In these moments, she reconnects with herself and channels her emotional depth into something productive and fulfilling. What many people fail to understand is that a female empath's desire to stay home is rarely motivated by fear. It is usually motivated by awareness. She knows how certain environments affect her energy. She understands that constantly exposing herself to emotional noise can leave her feeling depleted. Rather than ignoring this reality, she chooses to respect it. She recognizes that protecting her peace is not selfish, weak, or antisocial. It is a necessary part of maintaining emotional balance in a world that often feels overwhelming. Her home is more than a building or a place to sleep. It is a sanctuary where her mind can rest, her emotions can settle, and her true self can breathe freely. For a female empath, home is far more than a place where she eats, sleeps, and spends her free time. It is her emotional recharge zone, the one environment where she can recover from the constant exchange of energy that takes place throughout her day. Most people become tired from physical activity or mental effort, but empaths often experience a different kind of exhaustion. Their fatigue comes from continuously absorbing emotional information from the people and environments around them. This invisible workload is something many others never notice, yet it plays a significant role in how an empath experiences daily life. Throughout the day, a female empath is naturally tuned in to the emotional states of those around her. She notices stress in a coworker's voice, sadness hidden behind a smile, tension during conversations, and discomfort that others try to conceal. Even when she is not consciously trying to pay attention, her mind automatically picks up these signals. This heightened sensitivity allows her to connect deeply with people, but it also means she rarely gets a break from emotional input. By the end of the day, she may feel drained without fully understanding why. The emotional energy she has absorbed accumulates over time, creating a need for recovery that many people underestimate. This is where home becomes essential. The moment she enters a familiar and peaceful environment, her nervous system begins to relax. The constant need to observe, interpret, and respond to the emotions of others starts to fade. She no longer has to navigate social expectations, decode hidden feelings, or adapt to changing emotional climates. Instead, she can focus on herself. For perhaps the first time all day, her attention turns inward rather than outward. One reason home is such a powerful recharge zone is because it offers emotional predictability. Outside environments are often filled with uncertainty. Public places, workplaces, social gatherings, and even casual interactions can expose an empath to unexpected emotional situations. Home, however, provides stability. She knows what to expect when she walks through the door. The sounds, surroundings, routines, and atmosphere are familiar. This consistency creates a sense of comfort that helps reduce emotional overstimulation. Female empaths also recharge through solitude. While many people gain energy from being surrounded by others, empaths often restore their energy through periods of quiet reflection. Solitude gives them the opportunity to separate their own feelings from the emotions they have absorbed throughout the day. Without this process, emotional boundaries can become blurred. An empath may begin carrying emotions that do not actually belong to her. Time alone allows her to identify what she truly feels and release what she has unintentionally taken on from others. Another important aspect of emotional recharging is the ability to engage in meaningful personal activities. Many female empaths are naturally drawn to hobbies that promote calmness and self-expression. Reading, journaling, painting, listening to music, gardening, cooking, or simply sitting in silence can have a deeply restorative effect. These activities are not merely forms of entertainment. They help her reconnect with herself and regain emotional balance. Through them, she transforms stress into clarity and exhaustion into renewal. The home environment also allows a female empath to lower the emotional defenses she often carries in public. Outside the home, she may feel responsible for maintaining harmony, supporting others, or managing difficult situations. These responsibilities require emotional energy. At home, those demands are reduced. She does not need to monitor every interaction or anticipate every emotional shift. She can simply exist without feeling responsible for everyone else's well-being. Many people mistake this need for emotional recovery as introversion, avoidance, or social withdrawal. In reality, it is a form of self-awareness. Female empaths understand that their sensitivity is both a gift and a responsibility. They know that in order to continue caring for others, they must first care for themselves. Home serves as the place where that care happens. It is where emotional overload is released, mental clarity is restored, and inner strength is rebuilt. Rather than escaping life, she is preparing herself to engage with it again from a place of balance, energy, and emotional health. One of the most fascinating psychological traits of female empaths is their preference for deep connections over constant socializing. Many people assume that someone who spends less time in large groups or avoids frequent social events must dislike people. In reality, the opposite is often true. Female empaths care deeply about people and relationships, but they approach connection in a way that differs from the average person. They are not interested in collecting a large number of acquaintances or maintaining countless surface-level interactions. What they seek is depth, authenticity, and emotional meaning. A female empath experiences relationships through a highly sensitive emotional lens. She naturally pays attention to what people feel, not just what they say. She notices hidden emotions, subtle insecurities, and unspoken needs. Because of this heightened awareness, conversations often carry more weight for her than they do for others. While some people are satisfied with casual discussions and brief exchanges, an empath often longs for something more substantial. She wants to understand the person behind the words, the experiences behind the emotions, and the truth behind the social mask. This desire for authenticity can make ordinary social environments feel surprisingly exhausting. Many social gatherings revolve around small talk, polite conversations, and predictable interactions. Although there is nothing wrong with these forms of communication, they rarely provide the emotional depth that an empath craves. After spending hours in conversations that feel superficial, she may leave feeling more drained than fulfilled. It is not because she dislikes people, it is because the interaction failed to satisfy her deeper psychological need for meaningful connection. Female empaths are often highly selective about the people they allow into their inner circle. This selectiveness is not arrogance or judgment. It comes from their understanding of how deeply relationships affect them. Because they invest emotionally in the people they care about, they cannot treat relationships casually. Every meaningful connection requires emotional energy, empathy, attention, and understanding. As a result, they often prefer a small number of close relationships rather than a large network of distant ones. Trust plays an enormous role in the way a female empath forms relationships. Since she is naturally sensitive to emotional dishonesty, manipulation, and insincerity, she values genuine trust more than popularity. She would rather spend time with one authentic person than surround herself with dozens of individuals who hide behind social masks. This preference often leads her to seek friendships and relationships where vulnerability is welcomed and emotional honesty is respected. Another reason female empaths prefer deep connections is that they naturally seek emotional resonance. They want conversations that inspire reflection, growth, and understanding. Discussions about dreams, fears, life experiences, personal struggles, and human behavior often interest them far more than gossip or superficial topics. When they encounter someone willing to engage at that level, they feel energized rather than exhausted. These rare connections provide a sense of fulfillment that large social gatherings rarely match. Because female empaths value emotional intimacy so highly, they often need significant time alone between social interactions. Deep connections require emotional investment, and emotional investment requires recovery. Even positive experiences can be draining when felt intensely. Spending quiet time at home allows them to process conversations, reflect on experiences, and restore emotional balance. This pattern often confuses people who assume that enjoying someone's company means wanting to spend endless amounts of time together. For an empath, meaningful relationships and personal solitude are not opposites. They work together to create emotional health. Many female empaths also possess a strong ability to listen. People frequently find themselves opening up to them, sharing personal stories, and revealing emotions they normally keep hidden. This happens because empaths create a sense of emotional safety. Others feel understood in their presence. While this gift strengthens relationships, it can also become emotionally demanding. Carrying the stories, struggles, and emotions of multiple people requires tremendous energy. Therefore, empaths become careful about where they invest their attention and whom they allow into their emotional world. The psychology behind this preference reveals an important truth. Female empaths are not avoiding social connection, they are redefining it. They measure the quality of relationships by depth rather than quantity. Instead of seeking constant interaction, they seek meaningful interaction. Instead of chasing popularity, they pursue understanding. Instead of surrounding themselves with as many people as possible, they focus on building relationships that feel real, honest, and emotionally nourishing. Their satisfaction comes not from the number of connections they have, but from the authenticity of the bonds they create and the emotional truth they experience within those relationships. For a female empath, solitude is not simply a preference, it is a psychological necessity. While many people see being alone as something to avoid, an empath often views it as one of the most important tools for maintaining emotional balance. The reason lies in the unique way she experiences and processes emotions. Unlike people who can easily separate themselves from the feelings of those around them, a female empath often absorbs emotional information from her environment throughout the day. Every interaction, conversation, conflict, and emotional atmosphere leaves an impression on her mind. Without regular periods of solitude, all of these emotional experiences can begin to overlap, creating confusion, mental exhaustion, and emotional overload. One of the most important functions of solitude is that it gives a female empath the opportunity to process emotions that have accumulated over time. Throughout the day, she may encounter people who are stressed, anxious, frustrated, excited, or sad. Even when these emotions do not belong to her, she often senses them deeply. Because her attention is naturally directed toward understanding others, she may not immediately recognize how these interactions affect her own emotional state. It is only when she is alone that she can begin sorting through what she has experienced. This emotional sorting process happens in ways that are often invisible to others. While sitting quietly, taking a walk, reading a book, listening to music, or simply enjoying silence, her mind begins to organize emotional information. She reflects on conversations, replays experiences, examines feelings, and gradually separates her own emotions from those she may have absorbed from other people. What appears from the outside to be simple relaxation is actually a sophisticated psychological process that helps restore emotional clarity. Female empaths are often highly reflective individuals. They naturally seek understanding and meaning in their experiences. Rather than reacting impulsively to emotions, they tend to analyze them carefully. Solitude provides the mental space required for this type of reflection. In a noisy environment filled with constant distractions, there is little opportunity for deep emotional processing. Being alone removes these distractions and allows the empath to focus inward. This inward focus helps her understand not only what she feels, but also why she feels it. Another reason solitude is so valuable is that it helps prevent emotional burnout. When a female empath spends too much time around people without adequate recovery, she can become overwhelmed. Her emotional reserves begin to deplete, making it more difficult to remain patient, compassionate, and emotionally available. Small stresses may start to feel larger than they really are. Ordinary interactions may become exhausting. Solitude acts as a protective mechanism against this type of emotional fatigue. It gives her mind and nervous system the chance to recover before reaching a state of complete exhaustion. Many female empaths also use solitude as a way to reconnect with their personal identity. Because they spend so much time focusing on the needs, feelings, and experiences of others, they can sometimes lose sight of their own desires and priorities. Time alone helps restore that connection. It allows them to ask important questions about their goals, values, dreams, and emotional needs. In this sense, solitude becomes an act of self-discovery as well as self-care. Creativity often flourishes during these periods of isolation. Female empaths frequently possess rich inner worlds filled with imagination, insight, and emotional depth. When external distractions are removed, these qualities have room to emerge. Writing, painting, journaling, crafting, music, meditation, and other creative activities become powerful outlets for emotional expression. Through these activities, they transform complex feelings into something meaningful and constructive. Solitude also strengthens emotional boundaries. One of the challenges many empaths face is distinguishing between their own emotions and the emotions of others. Spending time alone creates the separation necessary to recognize where those boundaries exist. The absence of external emotional influences makes it easier to identify personal feelings and release emotions that do not belong to them. Over time, this practice improves emotional awareness and strengthens psychological resilience. People who do not understand empathy often mistake a female empath's need for solitude as loneliness, withdrawal, or avoidance. However, the reality is very different. She is not escaping from people because she dislikes them. She is stepping away temporarily because she understands the importance of emotional maintenance. Just as the body requires rest after physical exertion, the empathic mind requires solitude after emotional exertion. Through quiet reflection, emotional processing, and personal restoration, she creates the inner stability needed to navigate the world with compassion, wisdom, and emotional strength. One of the most defining psychological traits of female empaths is their strong desire for peace. While many people can function comfortably in environments filled with tension, noise, competition, and emotional drama, empaths often experience these situations far more intensely. Their heightened sensitivity causes them to absorb the emotional atmosphere around them, making chaos feel not just uncomfortable but emotionally exhausting. This is one of the primary reasons many female empaths prefer staying at home. Home provides a level of peace and emotional stability that is difficult to find in the outside world. A female empath does not seek peace because she is weak. In fact, the opposite is often true. Her sensitivity allows her to detect emotional disturbances long before others notice them. She can sense frustration hidden behind a smile, resentment concealed beneath polite words, or tension building within a group. Because she constantly notices these emotional signals, environments filled with conflict can quickly become overwhelming. What another person may dismiss as a minor disagreement can feel deeply unsettling to an empath because she experiences the emotional energy behind the situation as well as the visible events themselves. This heightened awareness naturally shapes her priorities. While some individuals are attracted to excitement, competition, and high-energy lifestyles, female empaths often place greater value on emotional harmony. They understand from experience that prolonged exposure to negativity can affect their mental well-being. As a result, they become intentional about creating peaceful environments and protecting themselves from unnecessary stress. Staying at home often becomes part of that strategy because it allows them to control the atmosphere around them. Peace is especially important because empaths process emotions so deeply. When they encounter conflict, they rarely move past it quickly. Instead, they tend to reflect on what happened, analyze the emotions involved, and consider the impact on everyone connected to the situation. This deep emotional processing can continue long after the event itself has ended. A peaceful environment helps prevent emotional overload by reducing the number of stressful experiences they need to process. Many female empaths also discover that peace improves their ability to think clearly. In emotionally charged situations, their attention is often divided between their own feelings and the emotions they sense from others. This can create mental fatigue and make decision-making more difficult. In a calm environment, however, their minds become clearer. They can focus on their thoughts without constantly responding to external emotional demands. This clarity allows them to feel more grounded, balanced, and emotionally secure. Another reason peace becomes a priority is that it strengthens their natural compassion. Female empaths are often known for their kindness, patience, and willingness to support others. However, these qualities require emotional energy. When they are surrounded by conflict and negativity for extended periods, their emotional reserves begin to diminish. Maintaining a peaceful environment helps preserve the energy they need to continue caring for others without becoming overwhelmed themselves. Home often serves as the perfect setting for this emotional restoration. Within their own space, female empaths can create an atmosphere that reflects their inner needs. They can choose quiet activities, enjoy meaningful hobbies, spend time reflecting, or simply experience silence without interruption. These moments of peace are not acts of avoidance. They are acts of emotional maintenance. By prioritizing calmness and protecting their emotional well-being, female empaths preserve the sensitivity that allows them to connect deeply with others while remaining balanced, centered, and emotionally healthy. One of the most remarkable psychological characteristics of female empaths is the richness of their inner world. While many people focus primarily on external experiences for fulfillment, empaths often find deep satisfaction within their own thoughts, reflections, creativity, and imagination. This is one of the reasons they frequently enjoy spending time at home. To an outside observer, it may appear that they are missing opportunities by choosing solitude over constant social activity. In reality, they are often engaging with an inner life that is vibrant, meaningful, and deeply rewarding. A female empath spends much of her life observing and processing the emotional experiences of both herself and others. Because she naturally notices details that many people overlook, her mind is constantly collecting information about human behavior, relationships, motivations, and emotions. Over time, this creates a rich internal landscape filled with insights and reflections. She does not simply experience life as it happens. She thinks about it, analyzes it, and searches for deeper meaning within it. Home provides the quiet environment necessary for this process to unfold. Many female empaths possess an active imagination that contributes significantly to their inner world. Their sensitivity allows them to see possibilities, connections, and perspectives that others may miss. They often enjoy imagining future possibilities, exploring ideas, creating stories, or reflecting on life's deeper questions. These mental activities provide stimulation that does not depend on external entertainment or constant social interaction. As a result, they rarely become bored when spending time alone. Their minds remain active, curious, and engaged even in complete solitude. Another important aspect of an empath's inner world is self-reflection. Female empaths frequently examine their own emotions with remarkable depth. They are interested in understanding not only what they feel, but also why they feel it. This habit of introspection helps them develop emotional intelligence and self-awareness. While some people avoid examining difficult emotions, empaths often approach them with curiosity. They seek lessons, patterns, and personal growth within their experiences. Quiet time at home allows them to engage in this reflective process without interruption. Creativity often becomes one of the strongest expressions of an empath's inner life. Many female empaths are naturally drawn to artistic and creative pursuits because these activities provide a way to channel emotions into something tangible. Writing, painting, music, photography, crafting, decorating, journaling, and other forms of creative expression allow them to transform thoughts and feelings into meaningful creations. Their emotional depth often gives their work a level of authenticity and originality that resonates with others. Home becomes the ideal environment for these activities because it offers freedom, comfort, and the absence of external pressure. Female empaths also tend to have a strong connection to personal values, dreams, and ideals. Their inner world is not limited to emotions alone. It often includes a deep desire to understand purpose, authenticity, and personal growth. They frequently think about how they can become better versions of themselves and how they can contribute positively to the lives of others. These reflections help shape their decisions and guide the direction of their lives. Spending time alone gives them the opportunity to reconnect with these values and ensure that their actions remain aligned with what truly matters to them. Because their inner world is so rich and fulfilling, female empaths often experience solitude differently than most people. They do not necessarily view being alone as an absence of connection. Instead, they see it as an opportunity to strengthen their connection with themselves. Their thoughts, creativity, insights, and reflections provide a sense of companionship that feels meaningful and rewarding. Home becomes the place where this inner world can flourish without distraction, allowing them to nurture their imagination, deepen their self-understanding, and continue developing the emotional wisdom that makes them unique.